We're in the beautiful St. Alphonsus Church. After Father Schackert, the Redemptorist priest, founded St. Mary's Assumption across the street for the German-speaking Catholics, he was reassigned and then came back to the area to build a church for the Irish English-speaking Catholics in the area. The first church was built in 1850, shortly after Father Schackert died from the yellow fever. It was a small building and served the needs of the church until 1855, when Antoine Blanc came to lay the cornerstone to begin the construction of the present St. Alphonsus Church. On that June day in 1855, he laid the cornerstone, and while he was at it, confirmed 277 English-speaking Catholics, 107 German-speaking Catholics, and 36 French-speaking Catholics, which first of all gives you an idea of the mix of the different immigrant populations in this area, but also gives you a sense of a very long day for that bishop as he both laid the cornerstone and conducted all these confirmations in the June heat and humidity of New Orleans. The interior of the church was delayed because of the Civil War, so it wasn't until the 1890s that many of the furnishings that you see were put in place. So in the 1890s, the stained glass windows were installed. They depict the life of Christ on one side and the life of Mary on the other side. In 1892, the electric lights were added, and the ceiling frescoes were done in the 1860s at a cost of $15,000, and they were done in part by the great-grandfather of former Jesuit high school history teacher Ron Rossi. The church survived several near misses with fires. There was an orphanage behind the church that caught fire twice and threatened the church, but it was able to escape in both instances. In 1925, the three churches in this area merged, and St. Alphonsus became the church for this entire parish. And then as hurricanes happened over the years, worship would switch back and forth between St. Alphonsus and St. Mary's. And as of today, St. Mary's Assumption is the church for this parish, and St. Alphonsus has been decommissioned but not deconsecrated. And so it's not consistently used for masses, but sometimes is. And it's also used to host cultural events, and it's open to help preserve the Catholic culture in this area. There's a dedicated group of volunteers who work hard to preserve the church, raise money to keep it maintained, and try to keep it open as much as possible for visitors to come see this beautiful church, this great example of the Catholic culture here in New Orleans. A final note about this church: it was designed by the architect Louis Long, who built the Jesuit Church of St. Ignatius in Baltimore. And this is a near copy of that church, at least from the outside, if you look at the facade of the two buildings. And there is still a touch of that Jesuit influence on the inside of this church as well. If you look at the very top of the high altar, you can see the Jesuit motto, Ad Majorem Dei Gloriam, for the greater glory of God. And certainly this church, in its beauty, was built for the greater glory of God. This is the beautiful and historic St. Alphonsus Church.